Welcome to the Dimensional Shift for Starseeds, where starseeds, quantum spiritualists, and alien enthusiasts gather to shift time, space, dimensions, and realities. I'm Revi, your guide, and I work hard to create a safe space for the spiritually tired, confused, and abused to reclaim their sovereign power and take back soul custody. This is the universe according to me. So this podcast is actually going to be a vocal transmission. Most of my transmissions come through written, so this will be an interesting experience for you and me. We are going to be having a chat with one of my own aspects. She goes by Merkaba and she is Atlantean. And she has some things she wants to share, but she has not clued me in on any of what she wants to share, so that's going to be pretty fun. And so with that, let's get started. Hi everyone, I'm Merkaba, and I'm a technician in Atlantis. I focus primarily on repairing the technology that we create, and that includes our own bodies. Not saying we are robots or androids, but when you look at even the human body as a computer, it can be repaired and maintained in a very similar way. Both the human body and a computer require a power source. Some think the human body's power source is food, but it's not. It's actually some form of energy which you receive from other things, such as eating food. That's one example. Another example is social interaction. Another example is emotional evocations. So watching movies that make you sad, watching movies that make you cry with happiness, things like that. Even arguments with loved ones, suddenly becoming irrationally angry and not being sure why, tends to be because you're tired and you're bored and you need to have that energy spike to get you going again. And that's all very normal. Emotions are one of the things that really drives the human body. There's no reason to think that that's wrong or that it needs to be changed even. There's a lot of people in the world of spirituality that you have now that think that emotions are weak and you need to control your emotions and that they run rampant and they will keep you from achieving what you want to achieve, or that you need to find stillness within. And while a stillness practice can be helpful, it's only if you learn that using that stillness practice, you're also drawing energy from another source, and that source would be your higher self, a connection to a creator or a divine being, whatever your belief system is there. Other sources of energy for the human body include sunlight, which is energy itself, physical activity, which is your body regenerating its own energy, which tends to work better for some people than others. I think that depends on ancestry, lineage, DNA activations, and all of that. I'm not well versed in that, but it is interesting. And so next, after energy source, we have to have some kind of operating system for the energy to activate, to create the technology and its function. So we all have our function, and that would be life, if we're talking about humans. For technology, it can have different types of functions, but we can talk about it as a computer for now. I think that would be a good parallel. The body's operating system would be the mind or the brain, the nervous system, and the computers would be whatever operating system you're running. I know right now there's the Apple software, the Mac OS and the iOS and Windows, and I'm not sure if Linux is even still around, but there's an operating system that the rest of the computer needs in order for it to function for its function. The operating system makes the function possible. The brain makes human life possible. And then there is the software, which is the programs that run on the operating system. And that would be, in the sense of your human body, that would be the other organs that create functions within the body, moving toward the larger function of living a life. And for a computer, you have your software to do the things that the function of the computer needs. I'm going to recap. You have your energy source. For humans, there's a few different ones. Primarily emotions, taking energy from others through emotions. You have food and drink, and you have sunlight and physical exercise, general wellness practices as we think of them in general. For a computer, you have electricity for you. We have other kinds of energy sources here in Atlantis, but for you it's primarily electricity. And then you have your operating system, your hardware, and that would be the brain and the human, and whatever operating system you're using on your computer. And then you would have your software in the human body, that is the organs that function to create the life form. And in the computer, that's the software that creates the functionability of the computer for the person using it. And altogether, you have being or a piece of technology that is functional. And anywhere you have an issue in any of those parts, you're going to have dysfunction. And there's also the possibility of having dysfunction introduced. And I think that this is the main part that I want to talk about today for you, is that just as with computers, having viruses and malware and all sorts of different kinds of Trojan horses, anything that can get on your operating system, anything that can get on your computer and steal something, control something, delete something, any kind of virus. The body can also have a virus. The operating system in the body can also have a virus. And that can be a virus like we think of viruses in the human body now, like we have coronavirus. But I'm not specifically talking about biological viruses here. I'm talking more about viruses such as spiritual warfare, viruses like limiting beliefs, and viruses that are our programming and conditioning that prevent us from functioning the way we want to and the way we need to, and from achieving 100% functional capacity. Anything that is holding you back is a virus, whether it's a physical virus or whether it's a mind virus. And so it really takes a lot of self-awareness to be able to stop and look at your own operating system and say, what parts are working and what parts aren't? What do I need to delete? What do I need to reinstall? What do I need to move around? Where's the clutter? What needs to be cleaned up? But once you do, you start to function better. Just as a computer that had its disk defragged and thousands of files deleted would start to function better. And these beings that introduce these viruses into us do it for different reasons. Some of them you can think of as your parents raising you with programming that they themselves had, and that's all they know, and they pass it on just like COVID gets passed on from one unaware person to another unaware person. And it's really unfair that that kind of thing is put onto a child that is unaware only because they're not old enough to be aware yet, whereas adults are unaware mainly by choice, partly because of the programming too, but mainly by choice. And so other beings, however, do have more sinister, more galactic, more empirical reasons for wanting us to have viruses, and that is when you run into tech and frequencies that are emitted to a transponder in your energy field that controls you. It gives you those imposter syndrome thoughts, and it gives you those limiting beliefs, and it keeps you shut down. I know Revi has a frequency that's emitted on her constantly that is, right now it's keeping her small and tight and afraid, and I've helped her recognize the frequency when she really tunes in, and we've programmed her DNA and her muscles so that the frequency is really strong and she starts to feel almost unconscious, but not in a sleep kind of way, in a way where she's doing things without thinking. Her body will give a jerk, and it will help jerk her back into herself instead of allowing the frequency to control her energy field and make her operating system shut down enough that they are able to control some of her words and actions in ways that she doesn't want them to. It's not for her benefit, for sure. And so there is the aspect of spiritual warfare here where these frequencies are coming out, and this is one that you can actually hear if you listen closely enough. It sounds almost like downloads coming in, like a ringing in your ears, but it's very, very sharp, and it's very high-pitched, and it's almost painful to listen to once you tune into it, and it's very difficult to get it out of your field. And so that's something she and I have been working on together. I'm probably going to be making a piece of tech for her to help with that. So there are a variety of reasons that people end up with these viruses and programmings. And the most important thing is, how do you get rid of it, of course? And that would be like you would with a computer, is you would start diagnostics. You would start the basic defragging your computer. You would start with getting rid of all the trash in your recycling bin. And for the analogy, that would be like anytime you have a thought that you don't want to have, just create a picture in your mind of it going into a trash can or going into a dumpster fire and burning up, or saying out loud with strong emotion that you don't believe that, it's not true, and then using the opposite statement. For fear-based viruses, it's going to be more like meeting that fear with love. And that's, I'm afraid of this, and that's okay. I can be afraid, and I can love myself through it. Showing yourself kindness when you're afraid is really, really important. And then the best thing you can do is take an inventory of your life and figure out where you need to work on. Meaning, does my relationship with this person need help? Do I need to run an antivirus there? Is there a reason that this person and I are not getting along? Or is there a reason I'm extremely dysfunctional at home and I can't get any of my chores done? Or is there a reason that I avoid meditating every day? Is there a reason I don't like to sleep in the dark because I'm afraid of ghosts and beings? Take inventory, and then you can start backtracking to the actual virus. You have to start with the top level and work your way down. Because if you start looking for the deep-rooted stuff first, it's just going to bury itself deeper. It's so much harder to look at those things than it is to start with the stuff you can actually see in front of you. And so I hope that helps. I hope that helps you get your being functioning a little more and work on expanding your energy field. Just as a practice, when you're meditating, just expand your energy field as wide as you can. And that energy comes from deep within your core. Expand it out until you just feel big and powerful and sovereign, and you don't need to ask anyone's opinion, and you aren't worried about any kind of attacks, because you know that you are a powerful sovereign being and you can handle whatever is being thrown at you, including viruses. Okay, Revy back here. That was fun. I went back and listened to what Merkaba had to say, and yeah, that was cool. That was some really good information in there. I hope that you found some of it helpful. It's going to be helpful for me. I know that I do a lot of work with shadow work, which has been really intense this past week, which is why this episode is a day late if you're in my membership. I apologize for that. this week, I guess it's leading up the 12/12 portal. I don't know, but it has been very intense for me. Some very serious shadow work and a lot of heavy family work. So I just got behind a little bit. So thank you for your patience. And if you're hearing this on Monday and you want to know more about the membership program, you can check that out at dimensionalshifter.com/memberships, and I will also post that in the show notes. Coming full circle here, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. I would love to hear your take on the universe. You can do so by leaving me a review or a comment on my Instagram. Drop me a note and let me know your perspective so that we can learn from one another. If you want more Dimensional Shifter, you can find my website at dimensionalshifter.com. You can find my Instagram at Dimensional Shifter. If you would like to be a founding member of the Discord server, that can be found at my website, dimensionalshifter.com/Discord. Of course, all of these will be in the show notes. This is Revi signing off.